So if it is locked, for all the courses are locked, then you have to go to this require before you can start the course, the first folder, and go to that survey and take the survey. In that answer something and then finish, and then you can click next. Then it will unlock all the other things. So in our previous class we have called the set get flights using a using the get flights connector from the American Flights API, but it didn't work because we were following different. I mean, we created the APIs from the course of not from the Anypoint platform development fundamentals, but we completed the course, almost all the modules in the Anypoint platform introduction. So we are trying to use the same APIs. So in this tutorial, in the Anypoint platform development fundamentals, we skipped all the modules which we completed there. So there is some mismatch between the APIs. That's the reason we are now using a HTTP connector to call the API, flights API, instead of using the get flights here. Okay, right now we are getting the response. So if I go to advanced REST client, the aim of this call here, the new flow we have put in the implementation.xml is when we call an slash American, then it has to give us the response of all the flight details. That is our target. So if you guys are on the same page till here, then we can start this session. So here we once test the application if it's still working properly and if the setup is still intact. So right now my application is deployed on my local, so I'm going to test that. So I got the response, not here it is, so it's working fine. So now coming back, create a variable to take the code. In the request itself we will send a code called flight code. Like if we are getting the destination, the code, the destination code, actually when we are getting, when we pass it as a query parameter or something, we have to grab it. So to do that, I'll create a subflow, right? How to create a subflow? You'll call, we'll type flow in the palette and you'll get all the options. In that you'll take and drop the subflow here at the bottom. And once you drop this subflow, you can come here and change the name to set code. And these two sessions for today and tomorrow, I'll be running really fast. Make sure you have another device joining the meeting so that you can see, and another device there you can go hands on practice along with me. I don't want you to switch tabs between this and that and follow. You will miss some of the important things and entire session will go slow. Actually, as per my plan, by today we have to be done with the training, but because of the slowness and lag, and I want you to get up to the speed, so I took it really slow, really slow. So now these two sessions today and tomorrow will be really fast. You have to come up to the speed because now you know the basics, all of this stuff. If I say get a subflow, you should be able to get it. If I say you to put a property or something, you know all the basics now. You should have to run along with me. So now set a variable. So drag and drop a variable here, and put this display name of variable to code. And in the attributes, in the name also, name it as code. In the value, switch on to the f of x and then type message dot attributes dot query parameter dot code. If it doesn't come, then our code should not break, right? Do you remember in the last class we spoke? So I am defaulting some value, default, and then I am sending default value as SFO. So I'm sending this entire message in the chat. You can just copy paste. Once you have that, now I have the subflow. Now I have to call it. How do you call? You have to use the flow reference, right? Now I'll put the flow reference before my HTTP call. And here I'll in the flow reference I'll call which flow, the flow which we created here down, set code, right? So I'll drop down and then select set code. In the same name I copy and paste in the display name as well. Once you have it, then we are referencing that to this here. After that, in the get flights property here, instead of request, rename it to get flights. Okay, in the get flights, in the properties, we are saying we need to call this thing using a query parameter. So basically what I'm trying to do here, I'm sending a request to this API, to this listener, and we are trying to grab a query parameter. So here query parameter, here what we are getting is code equal to something. Let's now, for now let's put SFO. So once I send this application should go to the subflow, grab it, put it in a variable. Once it put it in a variable, then I am doing another call here to get flights details, right? Which is an external call. Here I have to call based on that query parameter. So if I am giving SFO, then I should send the same SFO details to this. So first of all, to get that working, to see how do we send a request to that API, right? So this is the API which we are calling inside here. So here, how do I send? So I'm going here. So flights /6, but I'm looking for flights with a query parameter of SFO. So here destination equal to Cleveland. So this will give all the destination equal to Cleveland. So this is my application which gives with the destination equal to Cleveland. So this is the same call which we are doing here, right? See, after flights I have to send the query parameter. In the same way, here we come down to this HTTP call which we have done just now in the advanced REST client. Go down here, and here in the query parameter, right, add a parameter destination equal to, and in the value vars dot code, because we are taking code from the subflow here. Are you clear so far? Now save it and test the application. Now when you send query parameter $code equal to SFO, then now I have to get the SFO details. See, I'm getting it, all the destinations with SFO. So that's how you grab this is just the duplicate work we have done in the previous exercises. If you remember, same thing we are doing again, just for your practice purpose. Okay, once we test this, now we'll add one more flow, which is called the United Flights. Okay, now how to add a new flow? There are two ways. Either you can drag and drop a listener, or you can directly drag and drop a flow. So I'll go and drag and drop a listener here. So right now we put the set code in a variable, right? In a subflow, basically. Subflow means it's a reusable component. Any flow can call this flow and make that, set that, basically whatever in the query parameters request is coming, we are setting it to this variable called code. So I'm doing a new listener here. Here also I'm doing a separate API call and all. And I'm also using the same, my aim in this current exercise is I'm trying to call this subflow and then still make sure that it's doing the same set variable and I'm able to process the response. Okay, so drag and drop the flow, and then in the listener, just name it as a get slash united, get slash united. And to restrict it to only get method, go to advanced, allowed methods is get, and come back to journal, and let the listener configuration will still be the same, but the path will change to united. After that, I want to send a request again outside, request which API, my API which we tested here earlier, right? Same API which you are all are doing in the previous call. Even the flow name, please change it to implementation flow, change it to get united flights. And one more thing here, go to snippets, your downloaded student files, go to snippets tech file. In that file, in the snippets file, right, we have to take some code and paste it here. And training, so we want to take two things here. Training, I think American is already there in our properties. Okay, American is already there. Now I am going and pasting training. In the training, I have host, port, base path, and protocol. So in total, your config.yaml has to look like this. Save it. Once you save it, you have, so right now I have to use this where in the new request call. Okay, so go to global elements. How do you create a new request? You have to click on the create, and then HTTP request configuration. You can create in the plus button too in the connector configuration, but let's do it this way. So here the name has to be the same HTTP request config underscore training. In the base path, since I copied from the snippet, I want to use those values. How to refer to that values? Dollar and flower braces, if you guys remember. And in the inside, I'm putting training dot base path, and then just copying and then pasting it in the host and port. Now I'll just change to host and port, and then once it's there, click on OK, and make sure you have training dot host, port, base path, they're all there. So I'm good. Now I save all files. If it is slow like that for you, better to stop the application from running. Stop the application, go to implementation.xml. Now in the request configuration, refer to that new configuration we created. So we have two configurations, request configuration. Right now we are calling which one? American. Sorry, training.
American.
Training. American is old one. So we are calling the training, and in the get method, again go down, and the path will be slash united slash flights. So this is basically a new API call we are doing it. Okay, this is not the one we deployed earlier. So once you have this, you can still see, sorry, go back to that new, yeah, once you create that, you can see in the output here, uh, attributes we have these, and in the payload you have actual and expected. So let's test this application. So run the project, save. If any unsaved files are there, save it. So to test the new listener here, can anyone help me how to call this new flow?
with the path name,
Okay,
localhost, and the path given.
united, right? If you have question, you have to go back to this listener configuration. There you will see slash united is there. So that's why we are using slash united. And still you are using the same listener configuration, which is 880 and the local host. That is how you think. So now I'm requesting, now I have to get a response from the united API call. See, I got the response. Okay. Now, if I send code, code equal to Cleveland, what will be my response?
Hello?
So for this new flow which we created just now, we called the flow and we got the response. How about when I send query parameter code equal to Cleveland to this flow, what will be my response? Will I get a response or not?
I think no.
Yes, we won't get a response because we are not taking the query parameter here. So we won't get a response. That will be, let's see. Okay, let's test this. Even though we are sending query parameter, we are still getting the details and response of what, even if I don't send, still I get the same response. This is basically just ignoring whatever I'm sending, right? Now we want to grab this code equal to Cleveland. Okay, to grab that, what I will do, I'll basically go and call the flow reference, which I am already having it here on the top. So this one is taking the dot code, query parameters dot code. So this is taking the code dot code here. It will take and put it in a variable called code. Okay, so that's why I'm going to refer that flow which we created above, set code. And as a good practice, I'll also again paste the same name in the display name. Now I'll have set name, set code in the flow reference. Now I have a variable called code which will have the destination details. So again, to call the destination details of this request here, to send as a request the variable which we just took, I have to pass it in the path, right? The destination slash flower braces dest. If I put this means that it is a dynamic variable. Okay, and once you put dest here, how do you configure the dynamic variable? You have to mention it somewhere, right? So for that you have to come here to the URI parameters, because slash, if it is question mark, it's a query parameter. If it is slash, it's a URI parameter. We discussed already this in the previous classes. So now it's a slash, so we don't go to query parameter and add variable. We'll come to URI parameter and then plus the plus button, and we'll have a key and value. Here I will write the same key value, key, the key name is same key. I'll remove and put dest, and the value will be what, vars dot code. Now save it and then test the application. Now my, whenever I send the request, once the deployment is successful, I should only get the response of the destination equal to Cleveland, not the SFO. Let's test. We have configured everything correctly, and we have also reused the, see, destination equal to SFO we are still getting. Let's try one more time. Still the destination equal to SFO, because once this slash code is going into here, um, I don't think it's taking it. Because why are we getting a SFO response even though we are sending a Cleveland message here? So you have to add a breakpoint here and here, and debug the application to know that. Basically we are, here is a problem, right? We are getting and sending the variable. setting the variable here. The value of the variable is the query parameter we are taking from the request. That's why we are trying to debug that. Now I'm sending request. Now debug will come here. So here I'm checking if the attributes are coming or not. So attributes at query parameter. Okay, code is coming as Cleveland. Now I will step through that. So here I have to go to this and see the code is still SFO. Why is it that way? Let's go inside and take this entire message. How do I test this message? Dynamically, you have to place this x plus y expression and you can paste this here and then evaluate. So it's giving SFO. So I can, why is it giving SFO? I have to go and search. I'll remove the default. It says null. Why am I getting null? Message dot attributes. Let's evaluate. So message dot attributes are all this. So here message dot attributes dot query parameter. So query parameter is null here. Why? So instead of parameter, you should name it as params. That's why it's not taking. So we'll just stop the application. Go here and paste it params, not parameter. So I'll send you here again in the chat. So save it and then run the project again. Now you should get the response. That's how you debug. If you don't get any response as desired, then you have to debug every point wherever it's failing, wherever you think you have to search dynamically, then you have to debug, put a debug point there and then stop the flow and then test. Are you guys doing or watching phone?
Doing job.
No, doing.
Okay, see destination. Now I got Cleveland. Now if I put SFO, I have to get SFO. See. Okay. Perfect. Let me know if you have any questions or not getting response. After this, right? Click on the get United Flights flow, and then here in this flow, on the left side, after the properties, you will see input and output. In the input, in the output, you have this HTTP response, attributes, and payload and all, right? There, we don't see any metadata for the payload here. So payload is just any, like there is nothing defined. So let's define some metadata there. Okay, so now we can go down here to the metadata tab. So in the get flights property view, at the end of this call, in the metadata, the last connector, that is a request. So this request, instead of request, is just rename it as get flights. Okay, so in the get flights, go to metadata tab, and then add the metadata. So when you click on the add metadata, you will see the input payload and then unknown, just like we have seen in the metadata for the flow. Now in the metadata type dialog box, click on the add button. So once this opens up, create a new dialog box, set the type ID to United Flights underscore JSON. So now you must have already have one American Flights JSON. Now we'll add the United Flights JSON and then create type. And once you create type, this we have already done in the previous class. Now we will click on the type
JSON.
Yes, correct. Create JSON. And then in the schema, last time we have selected example, right? This time also change it to example. And then in the browse button, go to your resources folder. In the source, not resources folder, this is actually my project folder, training for Americans web service. So this project folder will be inside your Anypoint Studio workspace. So right now my workspace is under my name. Inside Anypoint Studio I have created the Anypoint Studio workspace. So how to know where is your workspace? So you can go click on this Anypoint Studio, or sorry, file, and then click on or you right click on the project, click go to properties. There you will see where the location is. So mine is username and then the studio, Anypoint Studio and Studio workspace. So you can copy this and then paste it there, or however you want. So basically go to metadata and click on the add button in the United States. Go to JSON and here select example. In the example, go to the student files. In the student files, go to the resources. In the resources you have examples. In the example, select the United Flight example.json. We have previously selected for American flights example. Now we are selecting United Flights example and click on open. Now we will see the data type. Once you see the data type, that is what we exactly want. So we say click on select. Once you click on select, then how do you verify? Now it's generating the metadata. You will basically go to this flow again, and here uh, save it first. So click on this request. In the request you will see the expected output like this. Now the metadata has been set, right? Once the metadata has been set, you will see that this metadata is little bit different from whatever we are getting as a response. How do you check? So here you have flights. Here also I have flights. Inside flights there is a airline name. Yeah, do I have a airline name? I don't have. I have
Unite, United.
airline name is there at bottom here, but I have code in the beginning. That is all right. Here and there they can change. Price is there. Departure date, okay, we have it. Departure, sir, plane type is there. Origin is there. Code is there. Empty seats is there, and destination is there. So we have all of it anyways, so we don't have to test it. It's fine, it all looks good. Go to your student files again. In the students files, go to the snippets folder. In the snippets folder you will see the delta soap web service visual. Where is that? This visual. Go to search and type soap, then it will come to this line. So copy the visual ending WSDL. It's a copy the URL which ends with the question mark WSDL. Copy that link, and once you copy, go back to your advanced REST client. Here open a new tab. If you click on the plus mark, new tab will open. Paste this and send a request. Now you will see all this data, XML data, coming as a response. What is WSDL? It's a web service description language. Okay, so here uh, this is the structure of this of this service. So it has XML namespace. This is all SOAP. We previously discussed there are two types of web services. One is using RESTful web service, and SOAP web service. This is SOAP. SOAP means XML based. Okay, did you get this response in the advanced REST client? If you get this response, then we can continue to our studio, and let's try to drag another flow. Now we'll call it as delta flow. United, American are complete. Now let's go and start with the delta. So again, how do you create a flow? You can either put a listener or a flow. Now I'm putting a listener as a fast method, and in the listener I'm changing the name to get delta, get slash delta. And even now, do I restrict the methods only to get method? You go to the advanced and get, and here in the path again I'm giving it
Delta.
delta. Correct. Now delta request is ready. So again, in the from the mule palette, um, select the web service consumer connector in the right side of the palette and drag and drop it on the left side. Which one will you drop? Here again we'll call the web service consumer. So one thing here in the web in the palette, search web service. So there is one icon called web service consumer. So this web service consumer, you might have get question now, like we already have a request component, why are we doing the consume component? So consume component really goes well with the soap web services, only for soap XML based, but I personally don't recommend it. But we'll just go ahead and put as a part of our training, because this is supports uh, soap web service really well. But HTTP request does it much better. As per my experience, I never got a success response, and from the web service consumer, it's just waste of time. But we'll just try as per your trainings, because when you go to real-time jobs and if you have this web service consumer, then if you are not familiar, again it will be a problem. So we'll just come to know what it is. Okay, so place this web service consumer here. Okay, once you have it, uh, in the snippets, copy the text again for the delta web service properties. So here I have delta from here to here, till port. Copy all the 4 lines here. Delta web service properties, that is the name of the line. Under that line you have these 3 properties till port number. Copy them all, and then where do we paste them? In the YAML file. In the YAML file below the training, remove the tab space and then paste it. Once you have it there, save it. Okay, now how do we create a property? Listener request property. Go to the global configuration, create. So what happens, why are we doing like this, right? So I can also go here and I can click a plus button and create. But if I click a plus button here and create, that will create a request configuration in this file. In the global elements here we'll see, which we don't want. As per our previous classes, as per our good practices, we came to an understanding that in the all the properties, all the connection properties has to go into the global configuration.xml. So in the global configuration, that's why we are coming here and then creating the new request configuration. Here we'll type click on create again button. Then the dialog box will open. There you will select the, now we are doing web service, right? Web service consumer.
So
So
this is a connector, right?
yes, you right now we don't have web service anything here. It's not coming. See, if I pick web, it's not showing. Consumer, it's not showing. So how do I deal with this? Now I'll go to my message flow and then web service consumer, drag and drop. Once you drag and drop, save that, and then delete it afterwards. Just that, this connector it will load. And always remember, if you are doing some new changes, stop the application. If it is running, it will cause a lot of overhead, and the application will get confused and lot of saving, and it gets stuck and it gets slow. So always stop the application, then you can continue on your creation. So go to global elements, create. Now I'll type web service consumer. See, now I got it, right? That's how you get it.
Yes.
And click OK. Now you'll get this entire this thing. So here, let's see why we are using web service consumer, right? So in the name, let this be name, leave it as it is, but you can put delta in the front if you want. I'll go in and put delta underscore web service consumer. And again, in the visual properties, since we have already the configuration loaded in the properties configuration config.yaml, right, from the snippets file, now we are pointing it to that property files. If you're so just put dollar and flower brace, and there I have delta.wsdl, and the same with the service and port. So here I will have service, and here I will have port.
Delta port.
What happened to this? Now we have given, so it will go and refer to that properties file. Click on OK and save it. Save all. Now if I go to my implementation, now I come to consume, and it's automatically taken delta.webserviceconsumer.com, the configuration, right? Now once I have it, I have to name this display name will be get
Delta.
flights. No, this is a request component, so we'll call it as
Okay.
get flights as per all the above. See, all we are doing is get flights.
Yeah.
We are keeping it as get flights. And in the operations, so the beauty of Visual is it, so once you click on this drop down, it will show you all the available operations. That is the web service consumer, beauty of web service consumer. Once you put the Visual, it will show you the available operations. So right now we'll just select the list all flights operation. These are all the operations like resources in our RESTful web services. These are all the operations present. Okay, once you have it here in the response, so this is very proactive SOAP web service, right? So here in the response, you will see list all flights object. It's an object, and if you select that object, I mean, after you save this, you go to response. We should see the payload structure, but I don't know why it's not showing. Anyways, let's test the application. So you have to tell now, how do I test this application? The new one,
Debug.
debug is okay. Before that, how do I trigger this flow?
The delta one.
Yeah, delta one.
I think we need to here we need to change the till from the United we need to change.
Perfect. From the United, we have to change it to delta. Sometimes your JVM will crash, so don't worry. Just run it again. Deployed, right? So now I'll go here and select send. See, I got a response, but it's all what? This looks so weird because it came in a object, JSON object, but inside a body we are getting all the XML data. This looks so bad, right? So basically we want a JSON response, but here we are getting a JSON response, but inside JSON response we are getting a XML data. So right now we will do the transformations. Okay, how do we do the transformations? We'll see. Now put the data view component. Whenever you talk about transformation, first thing you have to think about, and the first thing the thing has to come to your mind is transformation. So in the core, you can also type in the palette here transform message, but I'll go to core transform message, drag and drop after the consumer, because the data whatever we are getting in the response, we want to change that, because that's the reason we are placing after that component. So whatever changes we do here, that has to be the response. So right now I am changing it to JSON here, and then here I'll put payload. Once I have JSON and payload mentioned here, now I'll save this. And also, again, as a good practice, rename this to SOAP web service to JSON transformation. Now people will know, okay, this guy is getting a JSON and then he's trying to convert to is getting a SOAP and then trying to convert to JSON. That's a transform message. Now once you do it, let's test that again. Redeploy it. My application is deployed. Now I'm testing it.
Now it will change XML to JSON.
See how nicely it looks now. Now we are getting everything in a JSON format. So now you understood how to change from SOAP to JSON. Same
Yeah,
thing
by
with the,
transform.
yeah, transformation message. This is called, so in the work when you go and people ask you to, can you change from SOAP to RESTful? Now you have done SOAP to REST, right? So you can say yes. How do you do that? By using a transform message component or a connector, transform message connector. Will change slash application slash JSON as a output. In the output we are putting a payload, so that is all transforming internally and giving us the response as JSON here, just with simple one line code, not even one line, one word JSON. Got it?
Yes, Joe.
Looks good, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So here in output we need to replace Java to JSON.
Yeah,
Okay.
if it is Java, then you will get objects, Java objects, which is not readable
The
again.
XML data.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the thing. Okay, let me know if you all also got the response. Once you get it, we can continue. I think you should get it. It's very easy. Just JSON here. And don't forget to rename the flow here. Don't put it as implementation flow. Change it to get delta
Delta.
flights flow. Just get delta flights. So now my application is growing. See, if you see my implementation right now, see how many flows I have. But I'm not confused because I see clearly get United. Okay, this is United flow. This is get Delta flow. This is American.
American.
So how readable it is. See, any component you put your eyes on, you will get to see. You will read easily. Now it's mapping is here. Mapping is here. Here is database call. Here is a success response. Okay, this is a set code. So inside this we are setting code. If you just look at it, you will get to know what code is doing, right? So that is the
Yes.
beautiful way of writing with a good
Displaying.
practice. Yes. How good practices will help you in your day-to-day code writing. You'll write very good code like this. Okay, now get back to the get data flights, and again here in the get flights details. Now let's change it to operation to find flights, not list all flights. Now we'll find the flight. Okay, find the flight of a particular flight. change the operation to find flight. Okay, now in the find flight you will see this response we are getting. In the output, go to output tab, don't forget to change. In the output tab, there you will see it's giving all these fields. Okay, that's how you get to know. Earlier also I was looking into input, so go to output tab and there you will see all the variables that we will be getting from this operation that we selected in the consume web service component. Because it's powerful, it will give you all the details that you can expect from the web service call without even calling it. Okay, and now in the so what is the use of it? So output, okay, I'm able to see whatever I'm getting. In the input you will also see it is expected. See here, the expected actual is okay, and the expected, it's expecting something to get a response of this. What is that? Destination. So earlier, was it expecting anything? Let's change to all list all flight. So in the list all flight, it's not expecting anything. It's expected, it just says list all flights, and it's not expecting anything. But in the output response, where we can still see all the response, this all response. But for the list find flight, for the flying flight, it's expecting, because what flight to find, right? So it's asking the destination as a string parameter here. So that's how you know what to send for what operation, and it will give you the clarity on what you have to send. Okay, so how to test this application, right? So redeploy the project, and then you will test, and it will fail because in the destination we are not sending anything. It will fail with 500 error response. So again, to send the value, what will we do here? We are sending it as query parameter, right? Question mark code equal to sfo, let's put. Now how to grab this? We are already having a subflow doing it, right?
Yeah.
Attributes dot message the query. How do I call it? Using the
Flow reference.
perfect, using the flow. And where do I put the flow reference here?
Between.
Here at the
Yeah.
beginning, so that whenever I get a response, I'll save it and set the variable, and here I will use that. Okay, and here in the flow name, I'll go and select set code. Even the flow name has to be set by set code. That's it, and then save it. And one more thing we have to do, once we have it, it's setting a variable, right? That variable we have to pass into this get flights. So how do we do that? So for that, in the flow reference property view, let's add one more transform message here between the get flights and set code. In this transform message, inside here, you will already see on the left and right that you are having some fields, right? And here, see how powerful it is. I just put a transform message and it's already saying, where is the destination here, question mark. So, and here also I'm having the all the attributes here listed out. So basically I'm getting a query parameter dot uh, query params dot code, right? Code as a sorry, variable. In the variable here, once we pass this set code, we'll be having variable. See, variable code is already defined, so I'll just drag and drop here. See, the code has automatically written. See how powerful the MuleSoft is. It is able to guess where my variable is if I just put a transform message, and also it's able to guess what this web service consumer is looking for. So it's asking where is the destination. So I'm directly pointing, take this code as a destination, and it wrote code for us instead of doing anything. Now let's go, and one more thing here. How do I change this name to, instead of transform message, rename it to, just put it as passcode or something like easy, PASS code. So we are passing the code variable here and mapping it to the destination. Okay, and then save it and then run it. Application is deployed. Now send the request. Did you see? I sent SFO code. It sent me this destination of SFO.
Yes.
Now I send Los Angeles LAX. I send and I get LAX destination. See, it is working.
Yeah.
So do this, get the response. Okay, so previously in one of our application, we got this flights.java, right, and placed it in somewhere here. So we'll be doing the same thing in our current flow in the source main Java. We are trying to take a file from resources, flight.java is there. So copy that in the inside the source main Java, not the source main mule or resources. There is one folder already called source main Java. But before you do that, create a new package. Okay, the package name has to be com.mulesoft.training. Create this package, not a folder. Create this package com.mulesoft.training. So this means that there is one folder called com. Inside that folder there is folder called MuleSoft. Inside that there is a folder called training. This is all one package. Okay, and then click on finish. Now you paste that Java file here. Oops, we got a snippets.java by mistake. So I copy this flights.java, copy and paste it inside this folder. I have the flights.java in my source main Java package folder. Once I have it there, then I'll go back to my implementation flow. Here we have the implementation flow, right, which we are doing right now. For the American flights, at the end we have a logger, right? Where is our American? Here. So here let's put a logger at the end and a transform message too. So I'll put a transform message after get flights and also a logger at the end. It will end with the logger. Okay, and now in the transform message, like always, let's change it to
JSON.
JSON. Very good. And here you already see the metadata here on the left side. In the output of this section, so here metadata is undefined, right? So I'll just put select add metadata, and then I'll this once this dialog box open, select the user defined flights pojo. So I have to pretty much create one. So I'll click on add, and the name of this one is flight underscore pojo. Pojo means plain old Java object. So flights underscore pojo, and then create the type. Okay, once you have the type, in the dialog box again here select it as an object. In the object, after that this will be a class, so class is good. And here select the Java object where it is present. It's the flights.java, so select that. See here, once you click object, then you will select class. In the class again this data structure will come, and here you have to select Java object. Then a new dialog box will open. There you can type flight. and the first one, select the first one. So basically we are searching and locating it and pointing it over to the file which we just copied in our com MuleSoft.training inside our source main Java. So we are pointing to that and clicking OK. Are you following me here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are pointing to that, you will see the objects and those fields, attributes here, all the airline names and all. Once you see that, click select. If you click select, you will see that metadata here. Once the
Hmm.
metadata is here, then what else we need? It's just drag and drop now, right? So one moment, let's just save this and come back. Don't change to JSON, just put it as Java and then come back. Yeah, go to this. So if you don't see the fields here, I don't know if you're seeing, but I don't see here on the left side, input side. So in the transform message here, I don't see the metadata here to point to this output. So I'm clicking define metadata. So once I click it, I'll find point it to the American flights JSON because I'm inside that flow, and say, click select. Now I got all the fields. Now I'll select the empty fields should be mapped to available seats, and departure date to departure date, price to price at the bottom, and code. I'm not pointing code to.
Origin. There is origin.
Okay, wait, flight code is also there. So code to flight code, and ID we are not mapping, and origin to, where is the origin you just said? Origination, and destination to destination,
Destination.
and in the plane you have the type, right? So type, you will go and place it to the plane type here. All the fields are mapped.
File
Aeroplane
name.
name is,
Aeroplane.
yeah, name is still open. So name, let the name be open for now. Now the name, uh, hold on, let that be open. uh, let this be. So far, have you all done so far here?
Yeah.
Now you double click the airplane name, air name, that will generate a null object here. Okay, so basically here we want to write the hard code the value. Since we are inside the American flights, I am hard coding this as American. Now we are getting the Java objects. Let's see how the response will be an output of Java here, application slash Java, right? Let's see how that will be. So again, to when we go back to our REST client, we have to send request to American flights now. Where is American flight? Down here. So I'll select. So if you drag this, you will see all the requests. Go for the one which has localhost colon 881 slash American, and where the code equal to SFO. Go there, and then after the deployment is complete, you can trigger that request and see what response we get. So mine is deployed. I'm sending a request. I got a response with 500 error. The request we have here was failing because of some unknown reasons, and I faced this kind of things before. So when you have such kind of issues, I just recreate a new request here and pretty much copy and paste the same path, and because the configuration is already loaded, you don't have to worry about it. But in the query parameters, I just defined destination and var start code again, and pretty much everything is else is the same. I have not put any headers, and I have not deleted the previous request yet, but let's just quickly test this application. So I'm debugging now really quick. Okay, if you see here, my application is deployed and ready. I'm just triggering the same flow again, and if you see, my debug point is here, so it stopped in the flow reference set code and it came here, and now the variable is set and is going through the request. We'll see that the request will pass successfully and we got a response. So once we got the response, we are good here. So we're going to stop this application and pretty much delete the existing application, sorry, not application, existing connector, get flights. But before I delete, I'm just little lazy, so I'm copying this get flights name and then deleting. Hit on delete after selecting the connector and it will delete. And when you come back to this newly created request, go to the display name and paste that name. So pretty much we have done replicated the same thing. This will resolve the issue. I think cross my fingers and let's just run the application again, and my expected output now will be the new transformed message. And I'm sure this response here has to be a output here has to be a array of object again, just like here on the left side, but it is not for some other reason which is unknown. So I want to test this, so let's test. And the big thing here is we are loading the class component here. Let's see how that will be invoked, the Java component, and how we get a response. Application is deployed, triggering the flow, and I got a response which says payload.empty seats is array to class. Yeah, I was talking about that part, because it's an array of object we are coming, and we are whatever we are mapping here is not an array of the object. So what we're gonna do here is we'll convert this entire payload into array format. So to do that, I would have a payload here and then dot body namespace. NS is for namespace, and namespace of 0 hash find flight response dot all of return map of return comma index. Okay, and here I have to define the namespace. So ns of namespace 0, and that will be http://soap.training.mulesoft.com/. This will be my namespace, and then indentation here, and here inside change all the payload to return. So return will act like a temporary variable that will loop through the array of objects. Okay, let's test this. Save it, let it redeploy. So right now it looks like a transformation has some issue. Let's just debug this application and see why it's not getting any response in the advanced test client at the bottom here. So I'm gonna quickly debug and see what is happening with the response transformation component. How about now? So I'm getting payload. So I just dropped a payload to create this namespace. From now it should be pretty much writing the code by itself. Let's just type OK for everything, and before doing that, let's just stop the application to just avoid some overhead. And now price match to price, departure date matches to the departure date, and origin will be the origination and destination will be to the destination. Empty seats will be to the available seats, and type will be the plane type, and the airplane name, airline name will be American. This looks pretty good, but still I'm not. It's not an object. I mean, it's not an array. Payload dot flights map. Flight comma index of flight, and then this symbol here, and everywhere it says payload, change it to flight. So we are pretty much tackling one at a time, and we are getting a lot of challenges. So just bear with me and follow my instructions here. Save it and debug. So there's no flights actually. It's just stupid. So I'll just do payload map. Yeah, that works. So let's just stop the application before we make any changes and delete flights. Now just save it and debug, or let's just run it. I'm pretty confident that it will work because in the evaluate function has been successfully got my objects. So redeployed testing application for one more time, and there we go, we got a response. That is the expected response as per tutorials. I would never get would like to have such a response though. So basically this aligns with the class that we have defined inside this flights.java. So I think that's it. We got a response. Thank you.